but Pun has just showcased his ability to not care what the meta says, not care what everybody else is picking, and lock in his own secret sauce here so far with MSI.
Oh, already respect from LYON for that rise that we were just talking about, that D-Ray had a much better game on, got a lot of, kills in these skirmishes, and was able to play sides on the map. Definitely good, ban here. Here's my theory, though, on the top lane and the top lane counter picks.
Okay, what do you got?
Because Pun does use a lot of very powerful counter picks. However, in North America, Dhokla played a lot against Whippo, who used some very similar counter picks. Not all, but some of them. And Inspired as well, obviously playing with Whippo, and always is thinking about those matchups. So the hope and the theory for LYON is that they don't get super caught off guard here, and they are able to handle it. Themselves, as you mentioned, with Dhokla, they also try to index a lot into counter picks themselves.
We'll have to see if that hyperbolic Whippo time chamber ends up paying dividends for Dhokla. The bans are already done here in the first half with Ryze, Poppy, and Vi banned out by LYON. Team Secret Whales removing the Cassiopeia, the Rumble, and the Ziggs, as it is LYON with first pick here in this first draft.
All right, so much up and available. Priority for bottom lane, actually, with both Karma and Ezreal available. The heavy poke lane, not easy to answer. This is a good blind, leaves you, very, very defensive, especially like when Jarvan, all those types of things are still up really early on in Fearless. Your AD carry has a lot of options.
Yep. Response immediately coming out from Team Secret Whales, though. They want to lock in the
Pike nerfs were announced, by the way. Everybody's cheating here for Solo Q. Solo Q, he's getting some nerfs already.
Well, we do have the Nautilus locked in for that point and click to lock down the Ezreal, even if he does try to Arcane Shift away. Meanwhile, Hizto going to pick up the Lee Sin nice and early for that flashy playmaking potential, that ability to take over the game early on.
Yeah, I'm getting a little nervous already. Lee Sin, okay, I wonder if they go like Lee Sin, Ahri, or Lee Sin, some type of good kill mage for D-Ray so they can try and play on that synergy and play through some skirmishes. Interesting. They decided to go with the Alistar here into the Nautilus, having seen the Nautilus lock in for BA pretty early on here in response to Ezreal, so they want, the better melee matchup here instead of going for the Karma poke lane. They want Isles on some primary engage, and something that's going to be able to survive, some of these scraps. We saw Isles on some more fragile champions, and he was not surviving.
No, he was definitely on the fragile side in that one. So him having that tankiness from the Unbreakable Will going to help a lot. Meanwhile, in the jungle, we're going to see Trundle locked in here for Inspired. Trundle so strong as a duelist against champs like Lee Sin, but anytime you see Alistar locked in, Sylas rises in priority so much. Most people consider Alistar Sylas' best ultimate to steal in the game. So if they lock that one in on Secret Whales, I wouldn't be surprised. But we still have a little bit of time left on the clock before they make their final selection. They're going to run it all the way down to 0. And yes, sir, it's going to be Sylas locked in for the Whales.
So I was looking at, mid lane champs for D-Ray. They're going to pair well with Lee Sin. Well, Lee Sin Sylas definitely can look for kill angles, Flowers. Both of them with so much mobility. So Saint is definitely going to have his work cut out for him in the mid lane. I will say, though, Saint's lane phase has been really good. Even being able to solo kill Knight. Just ignore the fact that his recall got interrupted and then, they ended up making him stay for the wave and killed him after. But he's got a solo kill and has been, his mechanics has definitely been on point. So see what they put him, the trust in him on. Akali is still available. So they banned the LeBlanc, but he could go for the Akali matchup into the Sylas.
And not just the Unbreakable Will on Alistar for the Sylas to steal away. Trundle's Subjugate, remember, has an AP ratio on it. You will be deceptively tanky and do a lot more damage than the target might think with that stolen away too. So a couple of really solid options here for D-Ray to steal away. LeBlanc banned out. What's going to be the response here from LYON, the Yorick? Okay, it's time to play the Pun game.
Yeah, Pun game. Okay. I mean, you could throw some bans at him, but the champion pool goes very, very deep. Yorick ban, though, makes you immediately kind of think of like Jace and stuff like that for Dhokla on the top side. I know people after his previous Jace performance maybe not super excited by that, but we'll see if what direction they end up going. Yorick ban here, just taking away some side lane options. And there's the Jace. Okay, so even with a little bit lackluster performance previously, they're not going to hold that against Big Dokes, and they're going to respect it and go for the ban. I like it.
All right. Remember, because LYON opted for first pick, it does mean that Secret Whales will be able to save Pun's pick for the very last choice of the entire draft. I do not expect them to save Red 5 for an 80 carry. That doesn't seem like the best way to a victory here.
Yeah. Usually you're like, oh, there's like, 0.01% chance. Nah, that's actually 0.
Yeah, okay. We'll just turn it straight into a big old donut there as Gnar is the last ban here in the second half. So 3 out of 4 of those bans focused on the top lane with that LeBlanc being the one outlier. Let's see what Secret Whales wants to lock in. Beside their Nautilus, they know they're up against Ezreal and Alistar. They were hovering this Kai'Sa for a while earlier, and okay, they're going to lock that in for Eddie. Yeah,
they've got the dive comp set up here. Nautilus, Kai'Sa, the classic, and very good into Ezreal. I mean, we've seen it so many times throughout the history of League. Late game Kai'Sa, you can dive onto the Ezreal, look for the duel in the late game. You have so much mobility there to be able to answer. Plus, just fitting the comp perfectly as they already have Mega Dive. As you're expecting Sylas to have the Alistar ult, that plus Nautilus getting in there. I have to say, the draft and the opener flowers, I feel like have been really good responses from Team Secret Whales. I am fairly nervous here for LYON. We do have the Trundle to try and melt Nautilus thus far, and then maybe answer whatever Pun is going to go into the top lane, but I doubt that Pun is going to pick a tank.
Well, earlier on in North America this year, we actually posed the question and got the answer from the stats team. Nautilus is the dyingest champion in pro play. In terms of deaths per game, this champion has the most, and it's not really close. Or total deaths, I believe it was. So we'll see how well they can respond to that. But Taliyah will be the final pick of this first draft here for LYON. Saint will pilot that.
All right, this is going to be a Pun classic. My old one trick, the Volibear. Oh, and he locks it, baby! Okay, so the thing with Volibear is that Volibear gets a lot of value from shields and heals. So Trundle isn't as good against Volibear, even when Volibear goes full tank.
Yeah.
It's not like, it completely devastates him or something. So we'll see, because a lot of the survivability can be through that, effective health through the heals and shields instead, especially going with the Fimble Winter build, which we have been seeing from Pun. But man, he just looked like an absolute juggernaut, making me think maybe I should bring him back out, pick him back up in the jungle. So let's get into it. Team Secret Whales, honestly, flowers. I gotta say, in the first game here, I feel like they have a lot of options. LYON, though, they do have some protection. The Taliyah rocks as well as Ezreal being very mobile. Maybe they can keep their carries safe. Maybe.
But I think that Team Secret Whales, they want long, scrappy, messy fights. When you have Sylas being able to use the Kingslayer to constantly heal himself, when you have Pun, like you said, you're constantly getting shields, you're constantly getting heals. The longer the fight goes, the messier it is, the better off the solo laners on Team Secret Whales are going to be. So for LYON, if they want to win this one, I'm looking for clean picks, I'm looking for fast disengages, and for the Whales, I'm looking for the exact opposite.
All right, game number 1, elimination. Your life at MSI is on the line.
I'm ready for this, man. I'm so excited. Game number 1, we're out onto the Rift. Let's see if we get anything exciting, anything out of the ordinary. Speaking of out of the ordinary, immediately, one thing I'm noticing, Berserker taking exhaust on the Ezreal. Most often we see Ezreals go for the teleport, but this time around he wants to make sure that whoever's diving on him can't one-shot him.
Yeah, it's probably for those duels versus Kai'Sa later, and then as you mentioned, everybody else is going to be diving towards him too, so you could possibly throw that on a Sylas as well. Or even Lee Sin as far as see how fed Hizto gets. But yeah, definitely going to have multiple good options to be able to use that exhaust on with a lot of this dive from TSW. And D-Ray does get his first trade there with the chains going through.
Okay, D-Ray, also one of the players on Team Secret Whales that has come under the most criticism from fans watching the team. He's the one that I think everybody's looking to really step up and improve his performances the most. You talked about Saint having a good series when they played against BLG, able to find things like the solo kill on tonight. Even though LYON did get swept in that series, it was a much better look than what we saw from them in their win against Furia, which were really messy types of games. And I feel like Saint is also a player that can have high highs and low lows. So I feel like mid lane is a really volatile volatile head-to-head here in this one. And you can see right now on the left side of your screen, this is NA versus Vietnam all-time head-to-head, significantly favoring North America, but some of the most critical matches. First ever match between regions, it was Dignitas losing that one in a best-of-1 at Worlds 2012. Then at MSI 2017, TSM had to come back in a full best-of-5 against GAM, and then last time at Worlds 23, GAM knocked Team Liquid out of the Swiss stage. So punches traded back and forth between the two regions over a very long history.
Yeah, and Hizto is also a good Nocturne, so we'll keep that Vietnamese Nocturne in mind. All those old matches just reminded me of so many key moments, but we'll keep track in this long series. Starting out, Pun doing a good job with the Volibear into his matchup up there versus Big Dokes. Did get the push, but bottom side, Isles and Berserker getting a little push of their own and some harassment under tower. Meanwhile, both junglers are going to end up down on this side, so we'll see how Inspired is able to use that. And Hizto probably just, cross over. Actually, they've got Sylas moving in, so Hizto and Deer are going to be able to get that bottom side Scuttle Crab because of the mid lane priority as Saint now teleports back. So Inspired could just recall and go for the cross map up top side.
Exactly. You could see that's what Inspired is thinking. As soon as he finished the Krug, he didn't even bother moving towards that bottom side river. He immediately channels his recall, thinking they're going to be going for the bot side crab. Instead of contesting it, he finds the faster purchase. He makes his way into the top side, makes sure it's a 1-for-1 crab trade. And since both junglers started top, clearing towards bottom, he'll be right there when his Grand Prix spawns.
Meanwhile, BA's gotten a recall off. So BA with the Nautilus did, get his recall off as they were getting harassed pretty heavily. And so he comes back with a Ruby Crystal, but the lane control and the build up there for Berserker and Isles is going to afford them some extra safety as they push in, and they wait for Inspired's second re-clear back down to that bottom side. With both junglers starting up on the top sides, could be a while before they get here. The exhaust used.
A lot of damage there onto Eddie as he does get stunned up. Pops the barrier here with the last second. Gonna need one more auto attack. First blood of the Berserker, 2v2.
Let's see the beginning of that. I want to see the beginning of it because we're going to have another one, Flowers.
Yep, hold on. Saint's now in some danger, trying to flash away nice and early, but the Abduct has already found the target. Saint's still trying to escape, but there's no way home. Hizto ties the game up 1-1.
And there's that synergy between Hizto and Dire we were talking about. The setup from a Sylas, it's so easy, Flowers. They jump on him in lane. Saint tries to flash early, but Hizto saves everything and they can easily follow. Here's the beginning of the 2v2 on bottom side though. So BA comes back, BA comes back, he does have the extra Ruby Crystal, but they see the perfect angle onto Eddie there. Owls just goes in with the full combo and they drop the exhaust, it's enough. Berserker stacks up his lethal tempo and they have enough damage to finish him through the barrier. Nice slow from the exhaust, kept him in range for Alistar to be able to get off the auto for the stun too, by the way. And there you go, even with Saint being able to get the flip back, the extra mobility with Lee Sin and Sylas, nicely done.
So, it didn't cost D-Ray his flash in the mid lane, because it did cost Saint, but it also was Hizto using his flash to follow. Pun low HP up here in the top side. Dhokla looking for a little bit more damage, but Pun critically hitting level 6 right when he needed it. Make sure that he's not under any lethal threat. The last thing I want to point out about that previous 2v2, Isles didn't use flash. He was able to catch up to Eddie for the trample stun with just the heal move speed increase, so there's still playmaking potential in the bottom lane.
Yeah, definitely options there. Meanwhile, Dokes is going to have ultimate advantage. Yes, Pun pushing is going to be able to hit his ult and be able to not die up there, but now Dhokla will have the ult advantage for the all-in for Renekton versus Volibear, and he definitely could be in a position to try and punish. We'll see, though, after the next recall, what he's going to be able to go back to lane with, and it is going to be junglers back to that top side of the map for their next re-clears as well, so they could get into the mix, and those junglers are very close to level 6. Hizto just needs the crab, but Inspired's bottom lane is here, so they can secure it for him. And it should look at a play towards Dragon too. Hizto's still sticking around, but Inspired's got that crab guaranteed, so he gets his ult.
Yep, level 6 available on the Trundle. Meanwhile, down here in the bottom lane, the same story so far continues being told as Berserker and Isles have control over the push. It's Eddie and BA having to respect them as more waves crash into the turret. First plate already taken now by Berserker, who's up to about a 900 individual gold lead.
Yeah, Berserker, let's see what they can do with that. The first blood, so nice for them with the extra bonus. Getting really good recalls, has his Sheen, has his tier stacking up. And they've got a lot of control. I mean, if you can keep pushing on bottom side, Berserker will be very safe by himself until, buy some time for Alistar to get some roams off. Maybe they could protect Saint a little bit in the mid lane while he's waiting for his flash to come back up. Because while you don't have flash and the enemy Lee Sin has ultimate, and like you said, D-Ray still has his flash on Sylas, there's a lot of playmaking for Team Secret Wells. So Saint, for the next little while, he knows he has to play fairly cautiously in the mid lane. Respect it while he does not have his own flash.
All right, Pun heading back up towards his own lane here, and he's got Hizto right behind him. They know they have the control ward and the pixel brush. Dhokla's going to walk right in. Hizto waiting, hits him with the Sonic Wave, resonating strike, ready to follow up. Dhokla takes a chunk of damage, but not under any immediate threat. Doesn't pop the Dominus, doesn't use the flash, he's fine.
I thought they were actually going to go for a bigger play because Sylas was roaming up Flowers as well. You could see on the minimap there, D-Ray had taken a moment to roam from mid lane. But Dhokla was playing it fairly safe. You know, he saw Pun moving a little bit towards him, so he had an inkling of idea. It could be in the brush, and it's just going to be a little bit of damage exchange. They don't fully commit to the roam up to the top side, and Dragon is still on the map, so with them showing their Lee Sin for a little bit.
Ooh, flash out from Isles there. I like what Team Secret Wales is doing, looking for these opportunities to maybe find a pick, and they get a free flash out of the enemy support.
Okay, so Inspire's going to cross map. He's going for grubs up here. Does not want to far. Oh.
Ooh, okay, now hold on. Dhokla's already popped the Dominus. Trying to trade aggressively into Pun, who hits him right back with a Stormbringer, and Pun takes a big old bite out of Dhokla there. Winning out in the trade, flashing forward for the stun. Dhokla solo killed up here with the top side. Now Inspired and Saint looking to get something back. Pun hanging on for now. He should fall here, about to get another heal, but no, Saint takes him down. Dhokla thought he was baiting for his team, but he underestimated Pun on the Volibear.
You gotta have a little bit more respect for the bear. The timing difference there. Even though Pun goes down, still got his kill before doing so, and the trade is complete. Dragon for the grubs on the other side of the map. Taliyah wall also kind of used here, so here we go, ult for ult, as Pun's ult does come back up off cooldown before Dhokla had an opportunity to try and, win that window. But he has to flash the E damage, he knows, but even with flashing the E damage from Dhokla, still enough with the W mark already on him, Pun could finish it with just that base damage there. So nicely done from Pun to get the kill. However, the assisted kill for the side of LYON, worth a little bit more gold because you get that extra 50% for your team. And moving up, they did put the money into Saint's pockets here, the Taliyah. So we'll see if that is going to be meaningful for him. Fortunately, he didn't have his Dark Seal at the time, so didn't have the stack.
Yeah, you always wish you could get the extra little bit of bonus out of that one, but we also did have the even neutral objective trade. Chemtech Drake going over to Team Secret Wales since Hizto saw the enemy team up on the top side of the map. Inspired after the play, immediately goes and picks up all 3 grubs for LYON. And honestly, the gold difference this game is pretty much just the bottom lane.
Which now,
now hold on. Eddie and BA might be able to catch up as Dhokla once again could get punished here. Down to 100 HP. Killer Instinct coming in from Eddie. And Team Secret Wales punish Dhokla, who's once again off to a rough start.
Yeah, Dhokla trying to slice early, and BA just predicts it. Nicely done from the Nautilus there. To lock up a kill for your Kai'Sa Flowers is critical for this comp. We were just about to touch on, Berserker being able to nurse his lead, but that cuts it down a decent amount. Getting Kai'Sa into a very good spot and critically denying a lot of extra minions to Dhokla. So he's going to drop a lot of minions into the dirt at that tower, and the Kai'Sa going to be funded here a little bit extra.
And, looking back at the previous 2 series that LYON has played, Dhokla has had a bit of a struggle, and it's because of some plays like this, just not fully respecting his opponents.
Yeah, I mean, it is in a bit bad spot for him, but still, it was eventually going to push towards him anyway, and not respecting the Nautilus roam. Really nice hook here from BA. Expecting it, and they know that he has no flash because they just traded their flashes in that top lane skirmish that we saw. So nicely done there from TSW.
Ooh, and now they're looking to run it back again. Eddie on Kai'Sa in 2026, undefeated with a 10 KDA. As
no help is coming
those
for Dhokla.
numbers might go a little bit higher here. Dhokla's trying to clear out the wave so that at least he can try to seek the protection of the turret, but no, sir, there's no way home. Meanwhile, up here in the top lane, they're looking to do the same thing to Pun on the LYON side. Berserker grabs the kill, so both top laners going to be the punching bags for the other team.
Yeah, and both AD carries being able to get these kills as well. Ezreal is at the training force spike here for Berserker, so is quite nice, and they are going to be able to use the extra damage. They'll get first tower bonus in addition to trading the kills here for LYON. So again, trading up still for LYON, even though Dhokla has just been in a world of pain. Berserker is going to benefit again, and they're going to increase that lead further.
And this is something that we saw a lot in the series versus BLG. The Tristana game, it was Berserker who was very far ahead individually, right? The third game, it's also Berserker very far ahead individually. He's able to build these leads for himself, but he's got to be able to step up and carry once he's got the resources.
Yeah, and he's going to have to, find Kai'Sa with the exhaust, I think. The on-hit Kai'Sa here, getting a lot of money on the other side too, is going to be a question mark. So we'll see about the next move as the tower, unanswered on bottom side, does leave LYON with some more options for their setup for this dragon. It's 1:10 ahead of time, and Isles is trying to get that first line of vision to set up for it, to see the enemy approach, and they can push out. LYON definitely are going to be in a decent spot here for this Drake because they have their Trinity forces for both him and Inspired, and they should be able to set up. Let's see about TSW, though. They're so good at their snap engages, and Taliyah hovering for a roam on bottom side at the moment. More of a cover play, though, as they decide to swap the lanes.
Isles is going towards the top side right now. He also just completed his Locket of the Iron Solari. You can see BA now completing that purchase for himself, so both the supports remaining at parity here. You can see at the top part of the screen right now, quests completed for everybody except the supports and Dhokla, so a little bit behind for the Crocodile here on the LYON side, as the Dragon is about 15 seconds away from spawning, and Team Secret Whales are trying to clear out the mid lane. Hizto first in the bottom side river.
I don't know, with Berserker not having his exhaust cooldown, it's fairly short left on the cooldown.
Ooh, Hizto trying to go in and maybe find an angle here onto Isles, but Isles immediately responds with a pulverize and a headbutt back away.
Yeah, I think they just keep Dhokla top lane. I mean, he's not moving at all, so yeah, without a couple more seconds on the exhaust cooldown and Dhokla not being in a good spot, just give this one up. LYON, they never want to fight anything that they feel like is remotely disadvantageous to them as far as a fight, especially for an early dragon. So going to give up number 2 here. Just allows Dhokla to push out one more lane topside, and we can see if any of those minions on topside end up going into the turret if there was a cannon up there. But the dragon given up, and it is a cannon, so it's actually only a couple of melees going to go down there. Still allows Dhokla to get those Black Cleaver flowers.
Yep.
And LYON going to look to fight dragon number 3. I mean, generally, this is the big one, the turning point that most of the teams, even when they're investing in cross-map plays early on and are looking for the extra gold and giving up the first 2 dragons, number 3 is the turning point.
Yep, and LYON, you already said it, domestically, this is a team that is fine playing very slowly. They do not want to take a fight if they feel like they don't really have a shot until they kind of have that pressure on them where they have to. Dhokla still working towards that quest. Isles still working towards the quest, while Team Secret Whales already has all 5 locked in. The Rift Herald's going to be started now by the Whales, and they have everybody up here. Dhokla's on the bottom side of the map, just trying to catch up further in terms of gold. And it looks like once more, Kobe, the call from LYON is going to be, okay, surrender the objective, play for gold, take waves, play in side lanes instead. And that's the call, as Berserker also going to continue using the extra pushing power of the Grubs to take some plates here in mid.
Yeah, I mean, the value there is actually good for LYON. They got a lot of turret plate money. They got some off of mid as well as bottom. I think that was 3 at least. And so that's kind of the value of when Rift Herald does hit a turret as well. So fairly close there. Of course, the extra value of Rift Herald is also with combat Rift Herald,
yeah.
the favorite Rift Herald. So we'll see if the Rift Herald does get used in Dragon fight number 3, because the value of a combat Riftail can just have so many crazy plays with being able to save somebody or being able to use it as an initiation tool.
The battle Uber. You're driving straight into the thick of it.
You call the Uber and you get a tank.
Yep.
Though.
D-Ray's trying to get away, stopped by the pillar, has to flash away to survive, and that means that LYON can now continue overloading this topside tier 2 turret, using the Void Grubs to force this one down. True Shot Barrage fired into the mid lane to clear out the wave, try to prevent Team Secret Whales from getting anything in return, but here's that Herald summoned up, just going to be used to take the tier 1 turret, recognizing they can't allow LYON to get these structures for free.
They're actually coming in trap too. Look at the roam down from LYON. They're going to see if anyone from TSW was going to stick around for the end of the turret, but good call from TSW. They don't tunnel vision. They're not going to stick around. Most of the value of taking turrets now, I still see so many people yet to adapt to the fact that a lot of the gold is in the turret plates already.
Yeah.
You don't have to stick around for the very end of a turret as much as you used to do before this season, and so they don't allow themselves to get caught in a bad position there, any sort of greed, because everything is for this next dragon. And that's why I like the play from LYON. Even though they gave up 2 lanes to be able to make that overload play on top side, send everybody up to 1 lane, they got a flash out of the Sylas flowers, and this Sylas could be terrifying as BA.
Yeah, BA exhausted now. Isles trying to catch up, gets the stun, but BA is already buffered through it. Saint coming in here with the Weaver's Wall. Hizto with a beautiful Dragon's Rage, hits 3, but it's not enough just yet. Saint's about to die and BA's already been killed. Pun into the middle of everybody, but it's 4 from LYON, looking to burn him down. Pun will fall, Hizto's gonna follow. LYON just murdered 3 for 1, and Isles might be looking for a little bit more. D-Ray gets away with the abscond abduct, but LYON won the fight.
LYON, no hesitation. They see this Nautilus flowers, as you said, the most dying champion of all time in professional League of Legends. They see him and they don't hesitate. They even use an exhaust on him. They don't want to save it for the fight. They need the pick, the value of starting that fight when TSW are not ready for it. And you could tell TSW trying to react. They were desynced. Hizto jumps out as Pun jumps in, and LYON are rewarded for not hesitating, jumping on this opportunity, because in comes Saint. He gets the flip back. They force it, and then Hizto, he jumps out. Look at Pun. He's going to jump in. So now Histo's kind of watching from the other side as his bottom lane there just gets absolutely wrecked. Eddie got knocked up with a double knockup there for Miles as well, and Dhokla is there in time. So the preparation, Flowers, a lot of the time, it's the best laid plan, the preparation going into it, looking for the play before the actual objective is even on the map, well before it's even on the map, and LYON heavily rewarded for that. You will say, okay, now there's no, exhaust for this team fight, but look at the flashes all on the side of TSW. They're all down.
But it is now a 3,500 gold lead for LYON. Although this could be a big problem if Isles gets caught and killed here. Trying to turn something around with enough time. The Unbreakable Will keeps him alive. LYON's coming in. Saint has already arrived. Hizto looking to go into the back line. Finds the pressure on a Berserker. Wants to take him out. Hizto goes over the wall. But Inspired's ready to follow him. Dhokla looking to hold everybody off. He dies. BA barely survives. Now Saint's got a flashback over the wall. Trying to stay alive himself. They're ready to follow with a killer instinct. It's a double kill back over to Eddie. Team Secret Whales are bloodthirsty. Eddie's still fighting. Inspired falls. Berserker and Isles are on the run, and Team Secret Whales 3 for 1.
And they fight their way out of it, Flowers. No flashes, don't care. They just see Isles and they do the same thing. They jump on the LYON support. Full send from TSW is going to get them to Dragon Soul point. Oh my goodness. So Isles there is trying to do the vision setup. Look at the rest of the team from LYON. This time they were the ones that were too far away. TSW pumping all 4 members into Isles, even with the Alistar ultimate. Hizto was like, you know what, I'm full sending. Look at the other side of the fight though. As they're trying to kite back and kill Hizto, Dhokla gets murdered, and then Saint was still there, positioning against the wall, and here comes the full send. Even with Eddie dive bombing in and getting shoved after his ulti, they're not able to take him down. Inspired by himself, not enough damage there, as the rest of LYON had already been pushed out. Every time on Dragon, it's just not even a full second. It's like half of a second lead time on starting these fights out, with 4 members pumping damage while the rest of the enemy team is still coming over to the objective or to the ward. It's just a story of 2 supports a little bit ahead of their teams, and the second time around the rewards are much bigger because TSW got the Drake.
Yep, that's the big difference. Both times it's a 3-for-1. Both times it starts with the support, but the prize goes to Team Secret Whales. And now with Soul Point, that is a demand of LYON. Every single dragon going forward, they have to be able to answer.
Yeah, because, you know, gold is one thing, but Dragon Soul is much, much more than 2,000 gold. And TSW set up very nicely. I mean, they've got the Rage Blade already had on Kai'Sa. Lots of, you know, 2-item power spikes coming through on the table. And so now we're all just going to be looking for this Dragon Soul fight, Flowers.
Oh, yeah, it is so close. Yeah, you've got your 2,000 gold lead for LYON, but the 3 Drakes on Team Secret Whales are going to give you enough stats to make that feel, even if not slightly favored, towards Team Secret Whales. So this is just going to come down to execution. It's going to come down to coordination. It's going to come down to who plans it better, to who can get the drop on the other side, because these last 2 fights have showed me both teams are capable of doing just that. You can see here in your Coinbase gold grind, yeah, it's a 200 gold lead for Dhokla, but pun on that Volibear, you've got to keep track of him. You've got to manage him, because if you let him have those long extended fights, especially with Fimbulwinter and Unending Despair, that's not what you want to have to deal with. It's more shields and more heals.
Yeah, and if we go back to Champion Select, and we were talking about how worried we are about this Sylas with a possible Alistar ultimate to steal, which he did steal in the previous one. Now they're actually just going to start up Baron. Dhokla's recalling right now. He does have teleport, but they're so late. It's at 6K and dropping very quickly.
Saint rides the Weaver's Wall in. BA and Pun near the front line. It's stolen away by Saint. He steals Baron, and Pun has to try to get away defensively. BA's going to be killed at the very start. LYON looking for more now. BA down, Pun low, Hizto low. How in the hell did Saint take that away? Rocks!
Saint is able to steal it. Are you kidding me? This game is madness. How does he actually thread the volley and get this Baron? I gotta see that again, Flowers. Maybe it was a seismic shove or something, but he rides the wall, he gets in there. I was like, well, there's no way Inspired gets there in time, but it didn't matter because Saint did. He rides it in. What's he gonna be able to, even Nautilus they're all keeping him out. Yeah, and he puts down the E combo there from Saint. It's enough to get it. This game is actual madness, Flowers.
Yeah, this is craziness. And Pun even barely surviving there. And you can see Saint's got to be happy with that one.
Holy.
Okay, so now we've got less than 90 seconds until the Drake spawns, and we've got about 2 minutes here on the Red Bull Baron power play that's already over plus 2,000 gold. So LYON have the tools in their kit, have the buffs on their champions to run the rift all the way until that dragon spawns. For Team Secret Whales, I feel like what you're looking for, try to find a pick on somebody, make it a 5v4 game. That's how you can get back out onto the map. Otherwise, LYON just have so much control right now.
Yeah, and it's only 54 seconds ahead of the Drake. So the key thing here is pushing bottom as well as mid lane, full vision coverage leading up to the Dragon Soul fight so that you can have a better chance of responding to the dive from TSW. This very dive-heavy composition that they've drafted for themselves, they're going to have to be face-chanking, and it's so much better for LYON when you're running Trundle, Alistar, Taliyah. These champions are so much better at kind of receiving fights than they are at starting out the fights themselves. So the change of approach in this battlefield is going to be critical. And TSW, they look like they're not even going to take that risky approach. We'll just go cross-map, we'll just play up here. And LYON actually doing a similar thing and defending it.
Yep, LYON trying to protect that top side turret. And you say LYON's comp is better at playing when someone has to engage into them. I fully agree. And even more so when Saint now has his Seeker's arm guard. If they try to make a move on this hero Taliyah in this game, tied with Inspired there for the highest individual gold lead right now. Nearly a 4,000 team gold lead for LYON, and they will take that Drake. Like you said, no contest. It's no Infernal Soul at 25 minutes here for Team Secret Whales. Pun should be able to get this tier 1 turret on the top side finally, but D-Ray forced to run again from the pillar. Hizto wants to finish his wolves, but it may have been a fatal mistake. He has to flash over the wall to stay alive.
Ooh, Dhokla wanted the flash combo here with Saint, so he flashes for the stun, but they didn't quite have the full distance there necessary for the seismic shove immediately after the stun. And so he does have time to flash out. Hizto will live this one.
flash for flash, top laner for the jungler. Honestly, both of those flashes pretty critical for these two champions to perform in the team fights, right? Lee Sin and Renekton both need those flashes later on as the game approaches the late game state to make big impacts in the team fights. So with both those down on the same timer, we'll see how much the teams want to fight. Baron not on the map for another 2.5 minutes. Dragon still 4 minutes away, so there's nothing demanding attention from either side just yet.
Yeah, and Dhokla, I mean, you kind of have backup as Renekton. You can try and play Peel since the enemy team is so heavy dive. But Hizto, flash with a Lee Sin, that is the biggest playmaking tool available to you as well. So still think, even though it is a close trade, and we're going to see an attempt on the side lane.
Yep. Inspired, Isles and Saint coming in. Hizto's your target yet again. Tries to get away to the unraveled earth. Hizto finally falls. Saint throws another rock as Plunge tries to make his way into the fight now with a Sky Splitter. Jumps onto Saint, but there's that Seeker's arm guard I was talking about. D-Ray with the stolen Unbreakable Will staying alive here in the middle for now. Saint finally dies, but Team Secret Wales is on the run. BA's going to be your next target. Massive engage coming out from Isles. 3-man knockoff, and Inspired isn't done. He chases after Eddie and takes a big old bite of the Secret Wales AD carry. D-Ray barely gets away, but Eddie's going to be buried under the Infernal Shards that explode from his corpse. LYON have found their way into the enemy base with a 4v1 push. D-Ray stands alone, and he has to try to make a miracle defense here. He steals away the Trundle ulti, but the first Nexus turret has already been killed. Dhokla charges forward. He wants the Ruthless Predator, and he's found it. D-Ray staying alive with a Kingslayer, and LYON will still continue trying to force down these Nexus turrets. Hizto has respawned, but he is the only one. BA now back alive. LYON very low on the health bar. Isles jumps in for the headbutt pulverized combo here into Hizto. Saint ready to rejoin the fight now with the teleports. Everybody on Team Secret Wales trying to respawn.
Hey,
trying to get this going. They're going after the Nexus. LYON take game 1.
Woo! Well done, Flowers! The marathon end call there for LYON's first victory. What a performance!
LYON showing us how it's done here in the first one.